Welcome to the Canarian International Meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Mossy and I am an alcoholic.
And my name is Mick and I am also an alcoholic, serving as your secretaries today. Please join us for a moment's silence and remember the still suffering alcoholic inside and outside this meeting.
And OK is going to read the preamble for us.
Right, thank you. I'm OK Jackson. I'm an alcoholic, and this is our preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking. AA has no dues or fees. It is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety.
Thank you. OK. And a very warm welcome goes out to any newcomers or anyone returning to Alcoholics Anonymous.
The chat is now disabled until the end of the meeting, except for the meeting host. If you feel the meeting security is at risk at any time during the meeting, please private message one of the co-hosts so that they can check it out.
And that's it, guys. As you know, this is the Old Timers meeting. And this evening we have Diane from Wales joining us. A lovely lady that I've met a few years ago over in Lanzarote. And Diane, I'm delighted to have you here this evening. You have 40, 45, 50 minutes, whatever you take.
Okay. Is that it? Lift off?
That's it. That's it.
And you can hear me?
Absolutely.
That's good. I'm Diane. I'm an alcoholic. And thank you so much, Marcy, for asking me to share. And yeah, it's great to see you recently in the Bournemouth Convention. And that's what I really like about conventions, actually, is, you turn up there, you don't know who you're going to meet, old friends, make new friends. And, Marcy was talking earlier about a convention in Ireland where the subject of love was brought up and feeling the love in the fellowship. And I feel that, it's a wonderful fellowship. And I certainly feel the love from other fellows. And I need that, I need that. So where do I start? At the beginning, maybe? Okay, so 45 minutes is quite a long time, but I'm going to tell my story and let's see how it goes. So my sober date is 11th October 1988. And so by the grace of God, I haven't had a drink since. And I say that with amazement, really. I say it with pride. I am proud, but I've only been able to do it by the help of people in AA. And, that's from the heart. I couldn't do it without you. I wouldn't have been able to get sober without AA. I wouldn't be able to stay sober. Or if I did stay sober, well, if I did say dry, it wouldn't be a happy sobriety. I need this program to give me sobriety in the true sense of the word, including emotional sobriety, And if I didn't have emotional sobriety, I'd be in danger of being a dry drunk and in danger of all sorts of mental illnesses, and this program keeps me on an even keel and it keeps me in good mental health. So I'm gonna, let's go with the story, experience, strength, and hope. I grew up in this house, actually. I'm in the house I grew up in. And I was affected by my dad's drinking way before I picked up a drink myself. My dad was a binge drinking rugby player. I loved him dearly. And he's passed away now, and that's why I'm in this house. I came back here when he passed away in 2012. I came back here to look after my mother. She had Alzheimer's, and she passed away in 2018. And so I'm back in the family home, and I'm still here. It's a story of we talk about love. There was always love in this family, but somehow it got bitter and twisted by my father's binge drinking, and then like my mother's codependency, trying to survive as a family. I was the eldest child, younger brother. I became the caretaker at a very young age. And so I still, I'm not saying that for blame, because I don't blame anybody. It's the way it was. They did their best and I did my best. And sometimes, I stay sober. I've stayed sober a long time, and I'm very grateful for that. As I said, I'm very grateful. I work the 12-step program to the best of my ability, and I do service. But sometimes I need a little bit of extra help, and I'm currently dealing with grief. Unfortunately, I've lost a lot of friends to cancer, sadly, in recent years. Two of those friends were sponsors. One of my first sponsors that I had, and my current sponsor passed away in 2022. And another A friend, 15 years sober, took his life, and the three of them died within 3 months. It was a lot. So there's a few things about that. Obviously, the two older ladies died with their age, and it was like a natural event. The young guy, Mark, who took his life at age 60, that was more to do with depression, and sadly he didn't live. He had 15 years sobriety, but he was troubled and he took his life. And that is a lesson to me. This program is not just about stopping drinking. It's about good mental health, and it's about looking after myself. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired comes into that. I have to look after myself in those four areas. The tiredness gets me. If I'm tired, my thinking goes, and that's not good. Any of those things can get me. So to keep some sort of emotional stability, I have to look after myself. And so I do that to the best of my ability. But yeah, when Mark died, that was a shock to me, because it just goes to show how serious this illness is, and I don't mean that in a kind of scary, dreary way, but I'm not sober to be miserable. I'm sober to be happy as much as I can be. However, I live with this illness, and I have to give this illness the respect by putting my sobriety first before other things. And that's not always easy. And, when I look back at my sobriety over the years, by far the best years, or the best times I've had, have been the times when I've put more into this fellowship, more into my program, spent more time working the steps. And the times that I've been busy, working full time, dashing about, you know, maintaining my sobriety, not drinking, but not having the time maybe to dedicate so much. You know, those times I realize in work situations, I've been maybe more angry than I should have been, or less tolerant of other people. So looking back, by far, the best times are when I'm calm, I'm able to work my program, I can dedicate time to others. They are the times that I have some kind of calmness in my life. And actually, when I think about COVID, I mean, that was a very scary time for us all. And I lost a boyfriend. My boyfriend passed away at the start of COVID. It was a desperately lonely time for me. I live on my own. And that time, because I had the time, I was at home like everybody else, surviving the COVID virus. That time I was able to really knuckle down and put some extra effort into my conscious contact with my higher power, and also spend more time on Zoom meetings. I mean, how fantastic is Zoom? I met my current sponsor on a Zoom meeting actually, and I was so privileged to meet her. She's an author. She writes books for women, and men, sorry. But I think she started off writing meditation books for women. And I'd had her books in my house for many years. And suddenly she's on a meeting and I got to get to know her. This was in COVID. And as I said, my current sponsor had passed away. So she has become my sponsor. And that friendship is fantastic. And we often say, you know, she lives in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, in the US. We often say, you know, when Bill and Bob got together and formed this fellowship in all those years ago, who would have known that her and I would be, first of all, in the fellowship, and then all these miles, thousands of miles away, we get together, and she's my sponsor, and we have this fantastic friendship, you know. And you see, those things, when those things happen in my life, it strengthens my belief in a higher power, because those things happen, they're more than coincidences, they're God instances. And that's happened to me many times in sobriety. And I love those things that happen because I believe they're meant to be. And I believe that they happen without me kind of doing anything really. They come to me. The things that flow in my life is my higher power working. The things that don't flow, that's usually me when I'm trying to get in there, you know, control my life, be in charge, wherever. They're the things that don't always work out, or put me on the wrong path maybe, or take my peace of mind away. I'm kind of in a situation here now where I'm thinking of selling this house because it's quite big for me, and I've got a few plans around that, but it doesn't feel right. It's just not happening, you know, and I have to trust, and I will trust my gut instinct, because I've learned things that happen easily are the things that are meant to be, you know. So if it's not happening, it's not meant to be. And actually, I thought I'd sold my house this year and the sale fell through. So there's a message there, you know. And I get these messages. But I'm going to go back now to my father's drinking. It's very difficult growing up in the household, and I do get some extra counselling, and I'm currently doing that again because of some troubles, and you know, it's an inside job for me. If something's troubling me, I try and dig it out and talk about it. That's what I've learned. So yeah, there were issues that were difficult to deal with, and I started having panic attacks at the age of 21. The most scary thing, I didn't know what was happening to me. Why was it happening to me? And I started to have panic attacks when I was out of the house. And so my answer to that was to drink. So, and I took Valium. So if I had my Valium and my vodka, then I was prepared for going out socially. And then if I had a panic attack, I could cope with it. That was my thinking. That kind of thinking, yeah, that worked for a little while. Dutch courage, yeah, it worked until, of course, it took over. It took over my life. And I ended up at the age of 20, I don't know, late 20s. And I was drinking 2 bottles of vodka a day. And I couldn't leave my house without at least a bottle of vodka. That's how progressive my illness was. And I was a young woman drinking 2 bottles of vodka a day. I had liver damage and trying to cover it all up as if, you know, yeah, of course we drink wine at home. That's what they do on the TV, you know, and all this kind of crazy justification for drinking too much, basically. And it got very difficult, and I went to live with somebody because we were engaged, and to try and hide the drinking from him was obviously, oh, I don't know what the hell I was trying to do. You know, I'd have orange juice at breakfast time, and I'd be pouring vodka into it, and then he'd turn around and he picked it up one day and just said, "What the hell is that?" And I made some story that it was from the night before, but you know, the unmanageability of my life, I couldn't remember. I mostly remembered what I did, but I could never remember what I said. And I could be brutal with my tongue because I was unhappy, I was scared, I was frightened, I was resentful. And when I drank too much, it all came out the wrong way, you know. And so I'd gone on the advice of my GP, I'd gone to a day treatment centre in Wales. But to get there, I had to have a drink. And of course, I was turning up there with a bottle in my bag. So, you know, they were like, "Well, we need you to hand over the bottle." No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Because I was afraid, you know, I had to have alcohol on my person in case I had a panic attack, and the alcohol would calm me down. That's what was in my head. And so I eventually got into a treatment centre, and then I stayed sober with AA. And I learned, obviously, I couldn't, I had no idea I was going to have to give up drinking completely. I wanted help to drink normally, you know. So let's go back 37 years ago, coming up to Christmas. I was in a treatment centre in West Wales thinking, okay, I'll do 6 weeks and I'll go back. I had a nice big house. I'll go back, and there was a skiing trip planned, and I'll go back to my old life. And I never went back because the advice was I'd managed to get in there and stop drinking and stay stopped in the treatment centre. And I went to AA meetings from there. And the advice was not to go back to the house I'd come from because I'd be putting myself back in that kind of situation where I was out of my depth, really. This guy I was engaged to was a successful businessman, but I didn't feel like I was enough. I didn't have the confidence. And if I had a drink, it changed me. I could be who I wanted to be. I could be confident. But without the drink, I felt like an empty shell. I had no self-worth, no self-confidence. So, I think they saw red flags there if I'd gone back into that situation. And I get it. So I went to a halfway house in Gloucestershire, and then I started my life as a single woman in AA. That was 1989. And I've lived my life a day at a time by practicing this program and going to meetings. I'm fortunate that I've never considered not going to meetings. I'd be too scared. And I've seen other people who have stopped going, and, they stopped going to meetings. You don't hear of them anymore. That frightens the life out of me. But it's more than that now. I like going to meetings, and I have done for many years, because this is my tribe. I feel at home. I can say stuff to you that you would understand. The people out there might not, And the wonderful thing about conventions, again, when I was, I got sober young, and so I wanted to socialize, of course. And by going to conventions, it was safe. There was no alcohol. And there were people, who had the same illness as me, and that common bond that we share. And it's been a wonderful kind of convention life. I met Mozzie in Lanzarote, and I went to Lanzarote every January for several years. It was a great thing to do in January, get some sunshine, go to a convention. Fun in the sun, or fun in recovery, as we say. And I'm very fortunate, by a series of coincidences. Well, let's just tell you the story. When I was 4 years sober, I got on a plane and went to Spain, mainland Spain, Costa Blanca. And I was scared. I'd got on the plane by myself, nobody's hand to hold, nothing to drink, went to the convention, and I was asked to share. And I burst into tears, because I just thought it was all too much. It was overwhelming. I'd done all these brave things, and now you want me to speak? So I did it, obviously, and I felt great after doing that. It's been the thing of my sobriety has been to face the fear. I still feel fearful on times. Of course I do. I'm human. But I don't leave it stop me, and I don't have to drink on it. That's the most important thing. So from that convention, I went the following year, and then fast forward some years later, I met my husband, who is now my ex-husband, and we're friends. And his parents bought a place in Spain, which was actually on the beach where the convention had been, the convention hotel. And I spend 6 months of the year there now. I'm very fortunate. And so the Sunday morning group there in Costa Blanca, I've been going to for 30 years. As a result of facing the fear, getting on the plane, going to the convention, finding AA. And then the other thing was more than a coincidence, I believe. My in-laws, who have passed away now, my former in-laws, they bought a place exactly where I knew AA. And even though I'm divorced from my husband, we're friends, and I use that apartment. So I've just come back actually on Tuesday. So last weekend I was in AA meetings in Costa Blanca, and it's just incredible, you know. And like I said, those things, I'm happy about those things. I love travel. I'm happy. I love meeting AA people. I love meeting people. That's who I am. And those things have come to me without me doing too much other than the next right thing. You know, I used to speak with my sponsor, my previous sponsor, about doing the next right thing. And it's such a simple thing. As we say, simple program for complicated people. And yeah, of course I can complicate things. I can do massive amounts of overthinking. And really, I just need to trust my gut instinct, pray, ask for guidance, and trust my higher power, you know, listen for the messages, look for the messages, look for the gifts in every day, because there are gifts. Gifts come my way every day. The biggest gift today, I woke up and I didn't need to drink, you know, and I haven't thought of a drink today. And you know, the last thing I want, quite frankly, is a drink. And I'm happy to be on this meeting, you know, sharing with you. And I watched the film this afternoon, A Wonderful Life. And I've seen bits of it before, and I've forgotten what the message was. And the message in the film is that the guy, James Stewart, he gets shown by an angel how wonderful his life was, actually. And that was the message of the film. And I was thinking, oh my God, you know, there's angels. There's angels for me in AA, because they remind me how lucky I am. I have a wonderful life. I know I have a wonderful life. I don't always feel it, because I got this illness. I have this negativity that is part of that illness. And I have to practice gratitude on a daily basis. And speaking to other people about the way I feel is as important to me now as it ever was. And I spoke to somebody, my friend who lives in London today, and she's a great girl, you know, and she reminded me, just by me sharing my feelings and what's going on in my life, she reminded me that I have a great life, you know. And this is how the program works for me, is by sharing my feelings, sharing my thoughts, plans, whatever. And I get reminded how lucky I am. I get reminded to be grateful for what I've got in my life. Maybe I don't need to change anything. Probably not. That's just me and my head sometimes wanting to change things. And it's back to basics, isn't it? The basics of this program. What I learned in that treatment centre changed my life. What I've learned in AA has changed my life. I need reminders. I sponsored 2 people in Spain, and those girls, I mean, it's such a privilege to be able to do that. And I work through the steps with them, and it just reminds me of what I need to do on a daily basis, you know. And I'm so grateful that I'm able to sponsor people, because, like I said, it reminds me. And it's not only a reminder, it's what I get. It's what I get from doing this with you, giving service. It's what I get from other people in AA. We tap into that sense of spirituality that I believe we all have. We all have a sense of spirituality, and we need each other, I believe, to tap into that. You know, it's the higher power. It's the power of speaking with other alcoholics, the power that the emotion that I feel from conventions, from meetings. And I shared about 4 weeks ago, I think it was, in Fuengirola convention. I was a little bit nervous. It was a big meeting. It was on the Sunday, and they had a topic. I think it was step 12, working with others, and I was kind of thinking, oh, I want to deliver, you know, I want to say the right thing and pass the message, and so I started making some notes, confused the hell out of myself, and I sat down to breakfast with an Irish guy that I've known for many years, and just talking to another alcoholic, and what he said to me was, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And I thought, I like that, you know. So as I'm doing now, I'm speaking from the heart. And I actually went into that meeting then to share, and I felt so much calmer. You know, when I share, I'm not trying to impress, I'm not trying to entertain. I'm sharing from the heart my experience, strength and hope. And I'm the only one who has that. I'm the only one who has my experience. So just by being honest and opening my heart and telling you what's happened to me, that seems to work, you know. And when I hear other people do it, I think, God, how incredible is this program? You know, we're all being honest. We're all doing our best a day at a time. None of us are perfect. And it's a gift. And what I've been given is a gift. And by doing that and continuing to give service, I get a daily reprieve, you know, from alcohol, from picking up. And as it says in the book, based on a spiritual condition, so contingent on a spiritual condition. So that is my bit, that's my part in it. I make the effort to pray, my daily meditation, you know, to start my day, asking for guidance, because I need that, and doing the next right thing, you know, staying sober and doing service. All these things, I put the effort in, and by doing that, I stay sober, you know. So it's a fantastic fellowship, fantastic program. I'm looking at the time. Okay, I've got another. Let's go back to my story. What have I done in sobriety? I've kind of grown up. I feel like I was a late starter because I got sober late 20s. I did the things that other people had perhaps done 10 years before me, and I passed my driving test. I got a job. I got married and divorced, as we said. So I've lived my life, and I've lived my life in this program longer than I lived before. So this program is well ingrained in me, and I can't imagine any other life. I couldn't imagine life without it. You know, if I hadn't got sober, I wouldn't have made 30, I don't think. And so, you know, there is gratitude for that, for what I've been given. What have I done in my life? I just changed jobs whenever. I think I've learned so much about not being a people pleaser, and I've learned about having choices. I didn't think I had choices before in my life, my previous life. I kind of went along with things to please other people, and felt unhappy, resentful, whatever you want to call it. And now to maintain a sense of serenity, I try not to do those things. I try not to people please. I'm aware of it, how sometimes it's easier to people please and say no. But I know what happens if I do that. I suffer. It's quite simple. So I try and do what's best for me. I'm still aspiring to, you know, continue my spiritual growth. My sponsor says to me that difficult situations precede a deepening of the spiritual condition. And I like that because when I go back, I think about losing my boyfriend who died in COVID. That was a really difficult time for me. And I had nowhere else to go other than to my higher power, because that's where the source of peace comes, acceptance. Nothing happens in God's world by accident. For whatever reason, it was his time. He passed away at age 60. And, that was his path. I had to accept that. And so the difficult times, where do I go? I go to my higher power, because that's the source for me of peace. And so by doing that, I deepen my sense of spirituality. And so I understand when she says difficult times precede a strengthening of spirituality. I get that because I've done it and I still do it. And God, life is for living. I lost my best friend this year in June. She got cancer, diagnosed in March, died in June. Shocked me, and so that's why I'm having a little bit of extra help now with the grief, and that's what I need to do, I'm willing to accept outside help. I'm willing to accept any help if it works for me, and then do it. I try and have a positive outlook on life, and I can turn things around in any given day. Something that's completely doing my head in, which happens. I just know there's a flip side to this. There's another side. It's usually because I'm looking at something the wrong way. And so that's where I am in my life now. I'm just a very happy girl in AA. I have a great life. I have a great life. And I also have to deal with life on life's terms, and these things crop up. People passing away, bereavement, those things are part of life. I have to accept that, acceptance. And it's an inside job. If I do the work on the inside, maintain the program, the outside things usually fall into place anyway. So, where am I at today? Yeah, just thinking back all those years ago in the treatment centre, and Christmas was on the way, and I had this developed over responsibility that had come from growing up in an alcoholic household, being the parent at a young age, a very young age. And I felt responsible, and I still do sometimes. I felt responsible for other people. And I was in the treatment centre. So I was given the task, I think I was kitchen boss. So I was in charge of the kitchen and of Christmas dinner. I was a completely wrong person to put in charge, me, because I felt responsible for everybody's Christmas. And it's those things, I've had to modify. I'm not responsible for everybody. I'm responsible for me. And, it's things like that I really had to modify and work on in recovery. Those things that come natural to me, like over responsibility. So yeah, lots of lessons learned, lots and lots of life lessons learned. What can I say? I'm coming to maybe, what have I done now? 35 minutes, I think. I can just really say, I just have to express my gratitude, I think. And it's so lovely. My sponsees, one sponsee in particular, is so grateful to me for giving her my time. And I think, oh my God, it's such a privilege. And the things I've been able to do, my mum, I looked after my mother here for 6 years. She had Alzheimer's. And what a privilege to be able to do that. And I wouldn't have been able to do that. I couldn't look after myself, when I was drinking. And to be able to help sponsees and to get this program working with others is a very special gift. So I'm trying to think, are there any other little gems that I can share with you? I'm not too sure. I think really experience, strength and hope. My strength is from this fellowship. Absolutely is. My hope for the future is to stay sober and to maintain good mental health and look after myself and be able to help others. And like I said, helping others helps me at the end of the day. So step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. It mentions in the 12 by 12 emotional sobriety. I think it's the only place where I've read that, emotional sobriety. Somebody said that to me, actually. And the emotional sobriety comes as a result of working the steps. So that's my plan. That's my hope, to be able to continue working the steps and maintain good mental health and to be happy. Of course, I'm not sober to be miserable. I was miserable for long enough drinking a bottle of vodka at my kitchen table, I don't want that. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to be like depressed or anxious or any of those things that can happen if I'm not careful. So yeah, I have a great life. My next chapter, who knows? Who knows what the new year is going to bring, a day at a time. I want to travel more. That's what I'd like. What happens is not up to me. It's up to my higher power. But what I will be doing to the best of my ability is continuing with the program, continuing going to meetings, continuing going to conventions, try and get some sunshine and live my life, a day at a time. So I'm going to end there now. And I just want to thank Mossy again for asking me to share. It's always been nice to see you, Mossy, and great to bump into you recently. So thanks for asking me, and thanks everybody for being on this meeting and being here for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Did you hear that, Nick? It was nice to meet me, she said, as always. Keep that in mind now when you're speaking to me anymore.
Only because she knows she had to leave you then.
And Diane, it was lovely to hear you, and you triggered off a line of thought in my head. I was at probably one of my first two or three or four conventions, and it was out in the Connemara coast in Galway. And there was a guy there, John Doyle, sitting beside me, and I was telling him I was going to go here and I was going to go there and everywhere. And he said, Mossy, he said, have you got a passport? I said, no. He said, you're going nowhere. You know, and that's in my mind, you know, when you were speaking about traveling. And Nick said to me a couple of years ago, he said, Mossy, he said, I have to ask you, is there a bit of a traveler in you? He says, I'm never as happy as I am when I'm my bag me back and I'm heading to an airport. And I've had the privilege of traveling to various different places over the years. And I love it, you know. I love the fact that I have a life today. I love the fact that I can do stuff. I love the fact that no matter where I go, I'm surrounded by love. And that's my experience. I have trips planned for next year. Geez, next year sounds so far away, doesn't it? I have trips planned for next year, and if they all work out, it'll blow my mind again, you know. Because this year has been it's been very emotional to say the least. Getting over to Vancouver and getting down to Akron. And I have to say the highlight of the year was Akron, really was. And having the opportunity and being blessed to be asked to speak at the 90th anniversary of the King's School meeting, that has blown me away altogether, you know. My kids speak to me, my grandkids speak to me. Everything is as it should be, you know, because of this fellowship. And all I do is I get regular meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. I stay in contact with a higher power that I do not understand. And I work the program as it was bullied into me from the big book. And for me, that's what it's all about. And living my life. Living my life. So that's it. Diane, it was lovely to see you again. Lovely to hear you. And I suppose I'd better let the ferret in to say a few words, will I?
I thought you were going to run this meeting all by yourself, you and Diane, by the way you were going on. I was just going to ask everyone else, do you want to come down to coffee with me? Coffee for coffee. My name's Mick and I am an alcoholic, and by the grace of God and this fellowship, I don't need to take a drink. You know, Diane, you talked about the love. You know, I never knew what love was when I was a kid. You know, I grew up in the house of secrets, and I grew up a liar, thief, and a cheat. And I thought that was life. You know, and I came into this fellowship because of the drinking, and you people showed me love, what love was, and I've realised it's only giving and receiving freely of yourself, you know, and it's been beautiful for me. I have a lovely life today. There's a young lady up the road. She called in to see if I was all right because she hadn't seen me for a little while, and we had a chat this afternoon. And and she said her friend say to her, "Don't you ever?" Because her husband died a few years ago. "Don't you ever get lonely?" And she said, "No." She says, "I am alone, but I don't get lonely," and that's me. You know, I don't get lonely. You talked about loss. You know, I lost my parents, my brothers, sisters, and that since I've been sober, and my wife. And I see what Alcoholics Anonymous gave me was the ability to look after her when she was ill. You know, because I never knew how to look after her myself, as you said. You know, and how I look at it now is were all gifts in my life, you know, not losses, but gifts. And I look at what they've given me. And, you know, I'm a very lucky ex-drunk, you know. And as you said, I went through a period of going to meetings, but not practicing the program. And I was a dry drunk for a long time until I realised I was the problem, not the drink. Right, that's enough for me. And We have come to the end of the meeting, and Karen is going to read the promises.
I am. Hello, I'm Karen. I'm an alcoholic. The 9-step promises. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
Thank you, Karen, for doing the promises. Kathleen and Bruce for co-hosting, and Jeannie for timer. And forget about giving Kathleen thanks for doing co-host because she didn't. Thanks, Nick, for working along with me. Diane, it's a pleasure to have you here. And don't be a stranger. Don't forget, we'll be in Knock in February. Love to see you there. And that's it, guys. That's it.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
Reminder, we have our meeting is on 7 days a week at 8 a.m. UK time. We also have a lunchtime meeting every Sunday at 1 p.m. UK time. This is a meditation meeting.
And on Saturday, of course, we have the old timers meeting, an extended share recorder for our archives. And Thursday evening, we have a meeting at 7:30 p.m. UK time. We use the same meeting code for all our meetings.
Stick around for fellowship after the meeting. If you want a breakout room after the meeting, please ask the host.
And the yellow card, who you see here?
What you hear here?
When you leave here?
Let it stay here.
That's it, guys. That's a wrap. We'll get you to lead us out with the Serenity Prayer. And after that, you can have your Chinese and your tractor run. And if you want the tractor run, all you got to do is step outside my door. You see tractors going up and down the road all day and night. Sheep, cows, cattle, everything. It all happens here. Every dull moment.
You get worse.
Take it away, Diane.
Okay, yeah, thank you, everybody. It's been a lovely meeting for me, and thanks for sharing back. And I need to come more often, so I'll make an effort to do that, and thank you. So using the words God as you do or do not understand him or her, God
grant us the serenity to accept things we cannot change, courage to change things we can, and wisdom
To know the difference.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for keeping in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, folks.
Bye.